Everybody please come around.
Let's go. No, first sit down and worry about the shear after. You have to sit over there. Let's sit over there.
Yes, I have. Now we are doing like more. Come on. No, man.
We all remember the Sikha. We all remember the Sikha the Rebbe spoke 31 years ago, tonight, Thursday night. And and those words which were quite shattering. And these words are still resonating and ringing in our ears. And it's quite remarkable that the few words that the Rebbe said so many years later is still as relevant, as powerful, and as demanding from us those words that the Rebbe said, "Tut alles was ihr kennt." The Rebbe basically said certain things which were then difficult to hear and to understand. And after 31 years, we still wonder exactly what he meant, what it meant. But there are certain things which are quite obvious to us, that these are words that are demanding from us something. And while they're demanding, the Rebbe is empowering us to be able to do this which is demanding. So it's necessary to find out what is it that is actually demanding from us. And what can we do to carry out this which is demanding. The Rebbe said a number of statements. Said that I have done everything that I could. And now, says the Rebbe, what is left for me to do is to give it over to you. And the Rebbe says, give me every single one. In other words, the Rebbe is making each and every one of us his personal shliach in fulfilling this whole concept of bringing about the final and complete and ultimate Geula. Now, any logical person understands clearly that when the Rebbe says that I have done everything that I could, and there is something that we can do that he can't do, this doesn't mean that we have something that that can be done, and we can do it and he can't. Right? So obviously it means that there is something that the Rebbe is demanding that it is for us to do, that it is our avodah. And our avodah, says the Rebbe, I can do for you. You got to do your avodah. Similar to what the Rebbe said in the first Verbrengen, Tafshin Yud Aleph, the Rebbe said, nobody should start thinking, make himself ideas that that we will put the responsibility on someone, as the Rebbe said. The Rebbe says everybody has their shlichus, everybody has their ischayvos that the Rebbe, the Friedrich Rebbe, gave him. And the Rebbe said, that help him, that Nishalven can help. The Rebbe said, I will help you. But it's something that is our responsibility to do. So no less, says the Rebbe in this sikha, that there is something that we can do, must do, which is our avodah and not his avodah. So, ein lanu elu divrei ben Amram. How do we know what we have to do? So we have to see what the Rebbe tells us. First of all, Sazriya Mitzoyer of that year, the Rebbe says, talking about the Derech Yeshara, what is the way to bring about this Galus Ubis HaMashiach to Malchus Sheb'Tiferet B'Negei L'Maaseh B'Poel. So the Rebbe says, from the skip of the Pashtus, says the Rebbe, Tiferet, this refers to Limud HaTorah. Malchus Sheb'Tiferet is Limud HaTorah B'Inyan Melech HaMashiach U'B'Inyan HaGeula. Malchus Sheb'Tiferet, this goes on learning Torah, which are related to Malchus. Of Inyan Melech HaMashiach. And interesting, the Rebbe uses over here not the Inyan B'Inyan Mashiach U'Geula, but the Rebbe uses over here the words of Binyan Melech HaMoshiach. In other words, a focus on the one who is Moshiach, not as a concept, but as a reality with an identity. And how? Which has been explained in many places. The Rebbe says, Torah Shebiksav, or the Befrat the Divra Nevim, Shekol HaSforim, Milei Medover Zeh, quoting the Rambam, that the Nevim, it's full of all about Binyan Moshiach. U'b'Torah Shebal Peh, the Gemara, the Rebbe points out, Mesechus Sanhedrin, and Sof Mesechus Seiter, U'b'Midrashim, U'b'Miuchad, v'gam U'b'Miuchad b'Pnimis HaTorah, learning the subject of Mashiach, Melech HaMashiach and Geula, learning how this is in Pnimis HaTorah, Hochel, starting with Sefer Hazer, as it says, B'hai Chibura, Yiloch, with this Sefer, as it says, the EU Sefer Hazer, Yifkun B'mi Gelusa Barachamim. With the Zoya, with the Sefer, we will go out of Golas Barachmin with the Eibishtes Rachmanis. And then the Rebbe continues, so Befrat, B'teres Achsidus, as we know that to Afotzes Amayones Chutzo, Osimar do Malko Meshicha. The Rebbe continues, B'teres Rabbi Seinu Nisienu, and then the Rebbe says, so Befrat, B'teirosoi, and in brackets, Mamorim, V'lekute Sichois, so the Rebbe makes it very clear that the time that we have to learn to bring about the Derech Yeshara is by learning the Inyane of Melech HaMashiach and in the Inyane Geula, how they are in Torah Shebiksav, all the way how it is Pashat in the Lekute Sichos, and the Rebbe calls it the Lekute Sichos from the Sidoreinu. Lekute Sichos is the Rebbe's Lekute Sichos. Shizdoka Lekute Sichos from Friedrich Rabbein, Sefer HaSichos, Lekute Deburim, and so on. Lekute Sichos, as we all know, is the Rebbe's Sichos, and the Rebbe calls it over here, the who's Lekute Sichos? Shana Sidoreinu. So the Rebbe says clearly, Pashat, you want to know what I'm asking you to do? You want to know what I'm demanding from you to do? You want to know how to do it? Learn Sichos. Learn Lekute Sichos. Again, starting from Keresh Abiksav, all the way to Lekut Sichas. I think this is, somebody please correct me, but as far as I remember, this is the only time the Rebbe actually referred clearly to his Lekut Sichas words, especially nach Zugelegt Shanisidorenu. And the Rebbe says that this is what? This is me'an the dugma v'achana lelimud terasa shel Mashiach. By learning these inyanim, this is in the image, this is in the idea of learning terasa shel Mashiach, Torah Chadosha Mititete, which Mashiach is going to teach us a deeper, a new dimension of Torah. Shilamed l'chol ha'am pnimis ha'Torah, Taimet Torah, Yediyah Lakus, Das Elikevicha, Sagt in the Rambam, Shebois Hazman, the Rambam concludes in Sefer Hilchos Melachim that in the time of Geula was it Zayin Yisrael Chachamim Gedolim, the Yodim Dvarim Astumim, the Yisigu Das Boiram. So the Rebbe says very clearly, what is it that we need to do? We have to learn the inyanim of Melech HaMashiach and Geula, all the way how it is found in the Rebbe Sichos. Wonderful. Thank you. When the Rebbe says to learn about the inyanim of Melech HaMashiach, we get curious to know who is Melech HaMashiach. Is this just a concept? Is this just a vague idea? Is this just some kind of a term? Or is this real? Is this concrete? Because as Rabbi Yoel used to bring many a time at that time, the knowledge, the base, and later on, he said, if Geula is real by us, if Geula, or since Geula has to be real by us, so Geula without the Goyel doesn't work. There can't be Geula without the Goyel. So obviously, it is only natural and appropriate for one thing to know, as the Rebbe says, when he talked that we have to learn about Melech HaMashiach, where is the Melech HaMashiach? Can we know? Should we know? Are we helped to know? So let's look at the Rebbe Sichos. Yeah. Ein lanu el divrei ben Amram. So let us see what the Rebbe says in his own Sichos regarding this detail of Melech HaMashiach. And the reason why this is important is because it's a reality. If Geula is a reality, so then Goyel is a reality, and they go hand in hand. Otherwise, it's more just an aloof concept, some kind of an idea. And if it's only idea, not necessarily that this is mechayev, that this is making it that we live it, that it's something which is toil mamish. So when we look in the Sicha Vayera, Nun Aleph, look at the Sicha from the Rebbe, says the Rebbe the following, which is on the next page that you have in the little stapled few pages that I made over here. By the way, I might as well mention and show you the phenomenal kuntres. It's called Likut L'Koires, Aleph and Beis, put together by Reb Shlomo Majeski, yeah.
Today's in a nice.
Today's a nice. The original. Okay. And he did a phenomenal job of just putting together everything from the Rebbe Sichos. It's not eigene inyanim. It's all pashut from the Rebbe Sichos. Some letters, etc. All from the Rebbe. And this is what we have over here. Is by those numbers on the side is from this 87. This is pashut from this sefer liquid at least. So in Vayera says the Rebbe the following. The second column, the Eid V'hu Ha'ikar. Neisef ala Mavur La'el Simen Yudalev Shekayemes Mitziusah Shel Mashiach Benitzutz Mashiach Bechinis HaYechida Shel Kol Echad V'Echad Yisrael. In addition to the fact that every Yid has within him a nitzutz of Mashiach, and that's what the Rebbe explained somewhere, that this is why we come to Yom Tovim in the Rebbeinu Shalom and Mizak, V'nocha Olav, we should have these things, these words which are used about Mashiach, V'nocha Olav Ruach Hashem, This is because we all have a nitzis of Mashiach, and therefore this could be applied. So the Rebbe, in addition to this, kayemes gam mitziusay shel Mashiach kipshutai. Besides the fact that we all have a nitzis of Mashiach, there is Pashat existing the mitzius of Mashiach himself, who he is the Yehuda Klolis. Ki yodua, shebachol doyer v'doyer noiled echad mizera Yehuda shuroi Elias Mashiach Yisrael. In every generation, someone is born who is a descendant of Shevet Yehuda, that he is roi to be Mashiach. Echad, someone that what? Roi mitzitkosoi, because of his righteousness. He is roi lias goyim. He should be the one to take us out of Golus. And when the time will come, Yigale Elav Hashem is Boreh. In other words, he is already there prior to the Gila. But when the time of Gula comes, the Eibishter will come to him and reveal him v'yishalchoi, and he's going to send him to take us out of Golus. So the Rebbe weiter, v'ile lo yoy bis'ar v'minyonim bilti ritzuim haminoim u'ma'akfim, and if there wouldn't be some side unpleasant, some unsavory issues that are holding back, he would already reveal. He would already be revealed completely, and he would already make it happen. And the Rebbe continues. And as the Friedrich Rebbe said, the Rebbe calls him always Nasi Dorenu, who is the Messiah Shebedorenu. Shekvar, and as he said, Shekvar Nistaimu v'nishlu v'kol inyan ha'aveda, everything has been concluded. V'oimdim uchonim lekabolas pnei Mashiach tzidkenu, and we are standing ready to welcome Mashiach. So there's no more, nothing that is holding it back. And since it is so, so there is. And in brackets, not only the Metzius of Mashiach, because the Rabbi just said that the Metzius of Mashiach is there even before he himself maybe knows it. There's already the revelation of Mashiach. So the Rebbe tells us, what is our task? What is our avodah? What is it that we need to do? We have to welcome Mashiach. And as the Rebbe says, to welcome, why can we welcome him? Because he's already bizgalus, he's already revealed. As we know that welcoming, we cannot welcome something or someone that is not here. We can only welcome something or someone that is here, so we welcome. If he's not here, we have to bring him. And the Rebbe uses the term many times, and we'll see. I just made a few copies, but this concept of the Kabbalah to Makabel Mashiach, the Rebbe mentions many times. And so in other words, the Rebbe says Mashiach, as it says clearly here, Mashiach is already revealed, and it is for us to be Makabel, to welcome him. We'll see maybe what it means to be Makabel. To continue further, turn the page, please. This is the Sichach HaYisora that the Rebbe spoke to the Kinnis HaShluchim. And let's remember, although the Rebbe spoke to the Kinnis HaShluchim, but as we heard, we didn't hear it tonight, I'm sorry, I thought we were going to hear it. So, but as we know, the Sichach, the Rebbe says, Ich gebe Sibber zu jedem einen von euch. What does it mean? The Rebbe makes his holy shliach. He's giving us over the responsibility. He's making us his shliach. He didn't ask us, do we want to take it? And bei uns ist gefragt, du willst nehmen, du willst ja, du willst nicht, can I? Please, can I offer you something? That's clearly. Ich gebe Sibber zu euch. In other words, this concept in this shlichus, we're all the Rebbe shluchim. But this particular sichah, the Rebbe spoke to the official kinnis of shluchim, HaYisora nun beis, and the Rebbe says the following: "Dem gufe, was sie shaykh zu dem kinnis of shluchim b'chol shana v'shana, kum zu der chidush b'shana zu." There's something novel, there's something new which is added in addition to the general shlichus. There's something particular this year, the miuchad in particular, in the kasher von avodas hashlichus regarding the avodas hashlichus, which is Ishlach no biyat shlich, bishlach no biyat tishloch, the shlichus from Moshiach Tzidkenu. So what is added in this year's Kinnis HaShlichus is the union of the Shlichus for what? The Shlichus for Mashiach Tzidkenu. And the Rebbe continues and he says, not gerät früher, as kweit Kedushas Meure Chomi Admon the Sidarein hat mit dir gewähnt. That the Friedrich Rebbe is the Nasi Ador. Maybe I should open and close a parenthesis here by the Hey Tables, by the court case of the Sforim. As we know, the Rebbe always refers to the Friedrich Rebbe, the Rebbe the Shver, the Nasi Ador. That's how the Rebbe said. So by they came to the court case, and when they sent on behalf of the judge, they sent the delegation to the Rebbe, asking the Rebbe certain questions, and that was after the court said that the Rebbe doesn't have to come to court, which there was a whole discussion about it. Melech doesn't go to court. So they asked, but it was in the position, kind of an official answer that the Rebbe had to give for the court. And to open the close on a light note, the Rebbe once said by Fabrenger that there was somebody, a Rav, that was in court, and he was introduced as the chief rabbi of the United States of America, and this person got up and he said, and Canada. So the judge said, your rabbi, this sounds like a little arrogance. So he answered, Your Honor, I'm under oath and I must say the truth. So in court, you have to say the truth. You can't get away from it. So the Rebbe was in this particular case, so to say, like in court. So he had to answer clearly. So they asked him the question, when you say the Rebbe the Shver, the Nasi Ador, who are you referring to? Straightforward question. I wasn't there, but this is how it was reported. That the Rebbe did not verbalize the answer, but the Rebbe went like this. He pointed to himself. So we have to understand clearly when the Rebbe says, the Friedrich Rebbe Nasi Ador, and as we know, in fact, in the previous Sikha, the Rebbe said Chaim Shono, and the Rebbe connects the 10 last years of the Friedrich Rebbe being here, and the Rebbe's 38 years, it makes it as one Chaim, one Memches, 148, so it's quite obvious. And in fact, I can share this with you. As a young child, the Rashag, the Rebbe's brother-in-law, was visiting Antwerp. He came to collect money with the Rebbe Chaim, both with Pachabad. So he stayed by us in the house. Actually, he stayed in the hotel, but he used to eat by the few days that he was there. He ate by us, by my parents' home, and I was there. So he related an interesting story. He told a story that was after Tafshin Yud, after Yud Shvat, and the Rashag would travel always to a Gevir, and he would give then to the Rashag at that time $50,000 for the Friedrich Rebbe. Now $50,000 even today is a pretty nice donation, but in 1950, $50,000 that was a lot of money. So he went back. This is now after Yud Shvat. That's how he told the story. And he went back after Yud Shvat, and he came to the same fellow, the same Yid, and he tells him, the Friedrich, the Rebbe gave him, but now he's not ready to give. The Friedrich Rebbe gave, but at this stage of the game, he's not so eager to give the money. The Rashag was not somebody to take no for an answer, especially when it came to collect money. And $50,000 he knew was extremely important. So he didn't know what to answer him. He didn't know what to tell him. So Rashag asked this individual, can I use your phone, please? I want to make a phone. And he called the Rebbe. He called the Rebbe and he asked the Rebbe, was soll ich ihm antworten? Was soll ich ihm sagen? Now, I'm not sure now if this was before Tafshin Yud Aleph, before Yud Aleph Shvat, when the Rebbe officially accepted the Nisis, or after, before or after, I partially don't. At that moment, I didn't realize to ask. But this is what I remember clearly what he told the story. So the Rebbe told them, sag him, and as is ein neshama in zwei gufim. That's what the Rebbe told him to say. That it's one neshama in two separate bodies. This is what the Rebbe told Rashak to tell this individual, and he ended up giving the $50,000 by group. So when the Rebbe says Nasi Doreinu, the Rebbe described Nasi Ador, he's obviously referring to himself. He's the Nasi Ador from the Rashvi, and it's quite simple. So what does the Rebbe say over here? And what were we told? As much as verändigt alle in Jona Aveda, steht schon great in du hoch in Kulchem, that we all ready, we all of what? To mekabel sein Mashiach Tzidkenu. Again, the same words. To welcome Mashiach. And this concept we see further. Let me go to the next page, at the bottom of the next column. Das is al pi hayadua. As b'chol der v'der. Next page. B'chol der v'der. Noida dechot mizera Yehuda shoroilis Mashiach Yisrael. Same thing that we read in the previous year. Echot deroi mitzit koseli is goyluk sheyi azman igal elev Hashem yizbar v'yishalchet. Al pi yodos kveit kedushas meir chomi adman nisi doreinu. And as he said, that he's the einzige Shliach shebedoreinu and the einzige Mashiach shebedoreinu. And what is he saying? That as much in alles verändigt und ist verstandig, as much in as hebt sich on mekuyen werden, the Shlach no biyat tishlach, by the way, that was Tavshin und Beis, Shlach no biyat tishlach, which is the Tavshin und Beis. The Shlichus von Kveit Kedushas Meir Chomi Admon is the fun is verstandig, is moving. As the einzige Sache, was is jetzt geblieben und der Avedes Shlichus is, and in bold letters, whenever it's printed in bold means that the Rebbe underlined it, and that's why it's printed in a different print, is to mekabel sein pnei Mashiach tzidkenu b'poil mamish. For what purpose? So by us being mekabel pnei Mashiach tzidkenu, birde soll kennen mekayim sein shlichus b'poil und aruis nehmen alle Eden von Golus. So what is the Rebbe telling us here? For Mashiach to be able to do his final job, to take us out of Golus, which the Rebbe said, I did till now everything I could. There's a final thing which I need to do, is to take you out of Golus. Says the Rebbe, for this, you have to be Mekabel Pnei Mashiach Tzidkenu. It's such a simple words, what the Rebbe says over here, very clear, elementary words. I will let you continue to learn the Sikha for yourself. And just turn the page here. Something that the Rebbe spoke in different ways, but this is here. The Rebbe says in the word miyad. What is the Rosh Tevis of miyad? So the Rebbe said many different things, but in this particular place, the Rebbe says over here in the Ha'ara 148, Ubeprotius Yeser, the Negele Doreinu Zeh, what is relevant to our door, because if you look inside, says the miyad, das is the Rosh Tevis HaKoilel. The Rebbe, look in the Sikh itself, excuse me, on top of the Hora, says the Rebbe, Koile legama Rosh Tevis the Chlolis Hadoris, Moshe, the man from Moshe, Yud for Yisrael the Baal Shem Tov, and David Malka Mashiach. V'chol hapirushim shebe mamash, and all the explanations in the word mamash, and I will let you guess what is the pirushim of mamash. How many pirushim can there be in mamash? Unless we start with Rosh Tevis. But that's what the Rebbe says over here. Mamash, mamash, mamash. And as we realize, we all know that mamash is the Rosh Tevis of the Rebbe's name. So the Rebbe says over here in the Hora 148, after having said that miyad refers to Moshe, Yisrael, and David, sagt the Rebbe, ubepratis Yosef benegele doreinu zeh, which is relevant to our generation, to us, the Dor HaShvi, shebarosh teves the miyad nirmozim gimel at kufos hashayachas lekveit kedushas meir chomi admon nesi doreinu. Because the Rebbe said there is three kufos, the one that was in Russia, and then one is in Poland, and the one when it came to America, and the continuation of the 10 years of in America. So the Rebbe says over here that this goes, that the miyad is talking about those three kufos. Dr. Voss, this which is closer to us, I guess in time-wise, which is relevant to us. Like the Rebbe, the mem is from Mashiach, and the Rebbe adds over here, Menachem Shmoi, and as somebody said, he's not referring to Menachem Gerlitzky, the Gabi 770. Right? So Mashiach sagt der Rebbe heißt so wie Menachem Shmoi, Yud for Yosef Yitzchak, and the Dalet for Duber, Shmoi Hasheni, Shet Peit Kedushas Adu, Peit Kedushas, the Rebbe Rashab. So the Rebbe says over here very clearly, if one is concerned about identifying Mashiach, there couldn't be more identified than the Rebbe says, and this is just a few of them. There are many, many more of the same idea. So the Rebbe says over here what? That our shlichus is to be mekabel pnei Mashiach Tzidkenu. If you look on the same page, it was lately misparsen. This is Rosh Dvorim. So the Rebbe said on Yud Aleph Nisan, Toshin Yud Aleph. Says the Rebbe the following. That's what he recorded. It's built in Boga, but it was recorded by the Rebbe, it was the Meniach at the time. So he says, brings over here that the Rebbe, before he went to the oil, he asked, he requested to Limsa Bishmoy Advorim de Lekana, to give over, to mention on his name the following. And he said like this, Kol Eile Sherutzoinam Liismasir. All those, and it said in Yiddish, was sich übergeben. How do you say übergeben sich in English? Devote yourself? Commit yourself? Huh?
Commit themselves.
Commit themselves. Shkoyach. The ones to commit themselves. Uletzayes. To folgen. Not just to commit, but to actually carry out the commitment. What? Kol ma sheyoimru aleim, everything that will be told to them. This is Yud Aleph, Nisan Tavshin Yud Aleph. Right in the beginning of the Rebbe's Nasias. Mibli lishal shailos. Without asking any questions. In other words, the commitment is unconditional surrender, complete and total commitment. Nicht fragen, for was and for when and was, to totally commit yourself, to commit ourselves and do what the Rebbe is asking. What should they do? Says the Rebbe, Yachtum al gabe piske shmom, v'shemim, they should sign their name and their mother's name. And the Rebbe adds, those who are going to sign, they shouldn't be afraid. Why? We're not going to ask these, God, the Rebbe says he's not going to ask from us things which are just not reachable, such as they say. The Lashon is always, this is not what is going to be asked. So don't worry, you're not going to be asked things that you cannot do. If whatever you're going to be asked will be things that you can actually accomplish. Although we're not going to ask him things that are impossible to achieve, but on the other side, they should realize that this is a serious matter. It's not a game, it's not a joke. And they're obviously going to be obligated to carry out the commitment they made. So the Rebbe says, whatever I'm going to ask you as Rebbe, you should know it's something you can do. This is what the Rebbe says right in the beginning of the Nisias. So in other words, when the Rebbe asks from us now that we should be Mekabel Pnei Mashiach Tzidkenu, so the Rebbe said, whatever I ask is something that you can do. And the Rebbe continues over here, when he gave over the names and realized there was not, the list was not such a long list, there were not that many people, Tafshin Yudala, there wasn't so many people there, especially standing around there to be able to give out, and it took not a long time to give the names. And the Rebbe said again, it is a serious commitment, it's a serious issue. Although we're not going to ask from you to do Tzukrichen in Himmel, this is not going to be requested. I just want to throw in over here something that I heard from Shliach in England. We used to call them A.D. Safran, Aaron Dov Safran. I have shared this many times, and I heard it from him many times, and I think I quote him quite verbatim. He was one of the first shluchim in England, and at one point he was basically just about doing everything except for fundraising. He was Rav in the shul. He was, I think, principal in the schools. He was also teaching. He was part of Tzach. So he came to Yechidus, and he asked the Rebbe in Yechidus, Pashut Begashmis, he simply cannot carry out all his responsibilities. That's the gospel. The day only has 24 hours. He stretched it 25. But he doesn't, he doesn't get around to do what he's supposed to do. So his question, what he should let go. I guess there was nobody there to give it over. Otherwise, it wouldn't be the question. It was just very few. There was the beginning of London, which is the first and the starting developed. So he asked the Rebbe, "Was soll ich ablassen?" So the Rebbe tells him, typical Rebbe fashion, "Du tust noch nicht genug. You're not doing enough yet." As I said, I heard it from him a number of times. Du tust noch nicht genug. So he's a chassid, he's a shliach, he's a soldier. And he didn't tell Rebbe, but his answer immediately was, Rebbe, was noch darf ich tun? He took that commitment serious. Rebbe, what else do I need to do? So the Rebbe told him again, as I said, I'm quite sure, at Cholach, this is how I heard it from him, and I heard it from him always with the same lashon. And he said, the Rebbe told him the following. Und das, was du tust bis jetzt, tust du mit der eigenen Keches? Meaning, and this which you do till now, you're doing it with your own Keches, with your own force, with your own strength. Du tust doch das mit dem Keches. You are doing this with the Keches from the Mishaleach, the one who sends you. Mit the Keches from Mishaleach can beton a sach mehr. With the Keches of the Mishaleach, you can do much more. Interesting. And the Rebbe says, and this is what the Rebbe says here too, that we're not going to ask you Lalos Hashemayma, but whatever you ask, you can do it. Why? Because you're not doing it with your own purpose. Because going back even to the Sikh of Chavches ניסן, interesting. While the Rebbe says, there's nothing left for me to do, and then the Rebbe says, the einzige Sache, was ich kann noch tun, is what? Get my $1. I mean, you just said you can't do anything. What does it mean? You just said, there is nothing more you can do. And then he said, the only thing which is left for me to do is to give you $1. I mean, so there is something that you can do. But the answer is very simple. What I can do, I can give you the kaiches for you to do what you have to do. That's what the Rebbe says. He tells us what we need to do. And I will give you the capability. I will give you the kaiches to be able to do it. So what do we see from all these yichus? That what we need to do today is what? Is Kabbalah's Pnei Mashiach Tzidkenu. Let's just go a little one or two more here of the same Indian, how the identifying the individual as Mashiach, and as I have on the next page, which is in Tazria Mitzoira, where the Rebbe says over there, brings the Gemara, the famous Gemara Sanhedrin, how in the Ha'ari, where it's underlined a little bit, where the Gemara asks the question, Mash Moshe and Moshiach. So this is not a new question. Already in time of the Gemara, they wanted to know what's the name of Moshiach. And the Gemara explains over that every Talmud found a connection with Moshiach with the name of his Rebbe, of his teacher. And he brings over here. The Gemara says, the Rabbi Shilo said, Shilo Shemoy. And as Rashi brings, everybody was referring to the name of his Rebbe Shenemar, and continues Rabbi Chanina Shemoy Shenemar La'etel Chanina. The Yesh Amrim, interesting, over here it doesn't say the way, over here it doesn't say the students, but the Yesh Amrim, it is another Nusachos that the Rebbe brings over here. Now the Yesh Amrim that was says the Yesh Amrim Menachem and Chizki Shemoy. It brings over here in the footnote that some Girses don't have Menachem and Chizki, but simply Menachem. But it's interesting here that by the others it all says the Vei, the Talmidim. That comes to Menachem steht nicht the Vei. Steht the Yesh Amrim. In other words, this is Nachlas HaKoyim. Everybody says that kind of. So the Rebbe brings over here that of the names, of the 4 names mentioned in the Gemara, is one of them is Menachem. By the way, when you take the Rosh Hashanah of all those 4 names, Shiloh and Yinon and Chanina, Menachem, we have the word Mashiach. So the Rebbe continues in the same Sikha further on the page, please. And in the Hor at the bottom, the Rebbe says, Va'anan chsidim nane abasrei. And we chsidim, we will follow in the same concept, just like in the Gemara said that the Talmidim were referring the name of their Rebbe related to Mashiach. In other words, that every Talmud considered his Rebbe Mashiach. Says the Rebbe, Va'anan nane abasrei, Anan chsidim nane abasrei. That if we are Chassidim, excuse me, not we Chassidim, we do the same thing. Benegele Doreseinu, benegele Rabbi Seinu Nisienu. Ubefrat, Kveit Kedushas Vayilchome Adma Nisidoreinu, Yosef Shmoi, and we say that Mashiach's name is Yosef Shenemar, Yosef Ad Neshelis Yodei, Vatzak Nitritzchon, Yitzchok Shmoi, as Maritzchok Pinu. So what does the Rebbe tell us over here? That as Chassidim, it behooves upon us. This is what we should be doing. We should be calling the Rebbe Mashiach. This is what the Rebbe says over here. So what have we been seeing till now? That the Shlichus is Kabbalah's Bnei Mashiach Tzidkenu. Who is Mashiach? The Rebbe. Simple as this. Pasha. Now what does it mean Kabbalah's Bnei Mashiach Tzidkenu? So there's the famous Sikha of Beis ניסן, Tafshim Memches, a longish sikha, but I want to take just a few quotes from this sikha. Right in the beginning, where it says on top, page 350, on the last page that you have, says the Rebbe the following: Yesh lo hoisi b'chol hanal ba'omek yoser u'b'akdoma shebiyacha shebein ha'am lenasi u'melech beis k'tzavis. There are two extremes in the relationship, in the connection between the nasi, who is the melech, and the people and the am. Say like this: Michad Gisa from one side. There is from the Nasi, from the Melech, there's a there's an aloofness, a separation. That obviously the Nasi and the Melech is above everyone. Concealment. In other words, that the Melech, the Nasi, is removed, is distant, is superior, is concealed from the people, that we don't really know him, we don't see him as much, we don't understand him. Because we're all far away from the level and the miles of the Melech. And as it's clearly there is a certain concept of fear that we have to have to the Melech. So this is from one side a distance, an aloofness. But from the other side, says the Rebbe, it is the closest possible that could only be. The Melech is the heart of the whole people, of all the people. And there's nothing closer to the person than his own heart. Because the blood which is in the heart is continuously flowing through all the entire body. As it's passed to the in other words, that the body gets its continuous life and nurturing from the lave, from the Adat. So the lave, which is the Melech, is called the lave. So from one side we say that he's aloof, he's distant, but from the other side he's extremely close because our entire existence is depending on the Melech. And then the Rebbe says an additional point. Not only is it that we are depending on the Melech, but the Rebbe says there's also another side to this coin. The Yisayim is Hakiruv shebin HaMelech leHa'am, u'lo rak b'yachas l'amshochas ha'chayis the Chol Ha'am. It's not only the chayes that we receive from the Melech, To the contrary, there's also another side to it, which is what? The whole existence, the whole mitzius of the melech is depending on the people. Why? There is no king without a people. There's no king. There cannot be a king without a nation, without a people. So from one side says that the melech is aloof, and we say, well, that we are totally dependent on the melech, our entire chayes. We get from the melech, but says the Rebbe, but the melech needs us. The melech depends on us because he cannot be a king if there is no people. Concealment, darkness, although there's a certain distancing. It is the people that create. They are the ones to make the melech. They are the ones who crown the melech. How do we crown the king? When is the melech becoming a king? When the people proclaim Yechia Melech. As it was Malchus with David, that Hashem said, Yechia Melech, David Le'olam. This emphasizes Gam Shepeula Soham Hi B'Chaya Melech Chaim Shel HaMelech. Chaim Shel Melech. That it is the people that create, that accomplish, that bring about the life in the Melech. In other words, we depend on the Melech, but at the same time, the Melech, for him to be Melech, it depends on our proclamation. It depends on us crowning him as Melech. Accordingly, we can understand what is relevant to us. Chaim Shana L'Nisyoseh Shel Nesidoreinu. The 68 years of the Nesias of the Nesidoreinu, and earlier in the Sikha, the Rebbe explained that this is referring to the 30 years of the Friedrich Rebbe, and then 38 years, that was Tafshin Memches, Shnas Tismach, 38 after Tafshin Yud, the 38 years of the Rebbe's Nesias, that together forms the word Chaim, the 68. In addition to what has been said before, Al Barai Sofer Binina Chaim, that this is Pashat Moisef Chaim in the Melech. That is every year. Sorry, this is coming soon. That every year there's a Sofer. There's an addition in the Chayes of the Nasi Ador. And certainly this year, which is the Simon Chaim 68. That we keep on getting a new infusion of life through the Nasi Ador every year, which was based this. That was the Yom Haledes of the Rebbe Rashab. Was Istalkus, excuse me. I'm sorry. This is why there's the 68 after Istalkus of the Rebbe Rashab. Started in the seas of the Friedrich Rebbe, and this is the 68 years. So the people are the ones who add life to the Nasi Ador. As we said, how? By proclaiming Yechia Melech, we add life, and we create this Metzius of Melech. In simple words, after there is the perfection of the 68 years Chaim of his Nesius, the accomplishments and the efforts of the Nasi Ador. So now it has to be a fundamental addition, by proclaiming and by saying Yechia Melech. What is the concept? What is the idea? What is the, how do you say Teuchen? The essence. The essence?
The meaning.
Huh?
The meaning.
The meaning. Okay, yeah. All right. Yeah, the meaning. Takes Yosef Paris to understand, no English. Shekvar Egia Azman, that it came already the time Afikitzu veranu sheichne offer. Now look careful the words that the Rebbe says over here. That Yechia Melech, the meaning of Yechia Melech is that it came already the time of Ikitzu Veranu Sheichni Offer. And he says, who does it refer to? Kvoit Kedushas Merechami Admon Nesidarenu, talking about the Friedrich Rebbe. Ad Ikitzu Veranu David Malka Mashiach. That Yechia Melech is referring to the Ikitzu Veranu from Nesidarenu and David Malka Mashiach. Says the Rebbe, V'zeu gam mishamarishim. And this is also what we are, was the tumult that we're screaming. There is a lot of awakening. The ikfus of the Mashiach al bar hatzorech lahachiz ad Mosai. Says the Rebbe, this is why we also constantly demand of saying and screaming ad Mosai. What? Through this, we hasten and we bring nearer the Geula, the Yeshlema. In addition to emphasize the quest, the expectation, Habakosha, the demand, the praying, the asking, Vadrisha, and the requesting ala Geula, that what we demand, what we request, that Moshiach should come b'poel mamish, in what kind of way? The Mare Betzboy Omer Zeh, to the point that we can actually point with the finger, Hine, HaMelech HaMoshiach, who is the boss of Adon. Psak Din Rambam, as the Rambam says, Yamid Melech Mebeis David, Yikabet Mitri Yisrael, says the Rebbe, so Yesh Bachroze Zu, in the screaming of Admosai, there is also in this proclamation, Gam HaToichend Inin Hach Torah, Yechia Melech. There is also in this included the meaning of the crowning of Yechia Melech, as the Rebbe says, Shalidizeh, Poyalim Bias David Malka Mashiach. Because through this, we actually accomplish that it should be the coming of Mashiach. ויש לו איסי, שאצל מלך המשיח מתגש את יוסי שייכוסי לכל אחד ואחד מישראל. By Melech HaMashiach, there is underlined the specific connection to every single Jew. In addition to the fact that every Melech is the heart of the whole community. In other words, he says what? That because of the shaykhs of the Melech to everyone, that's why we can accomplish this Yechia Melech. Let's go turn the page and on page 354, the second column. We have to conclude and finish our task. כולל גם הבקשה והדרישה עד מוסי והאחרוזה יחיה מלך דוד מלכה משיחה. בזריזס הכי גדולה הקשורה עם שמחה וחיים. And the Rebbe continues further on this topic. So the Chorah, if you pay a little bit attention what the Rebbe says over here. So the Rebbe says, we have a shlichus that we can accomplish. He's giving us the koiches to be able to do it. And what is shlichus is what? Kabbalas Pnei Mashiach Tzidkenu. Who is Moshiach? He tells us clearly, Menachem Shmuel. How do we accomplish Kabbalas Pnei Mashiach Tzidkenu? The Rebbe says, how do we create this? The Rebbe Pashat, there is a hachroza, a proclamation of saying Yechia Melech. Now, if we go back to what the Rebbe said in this answer, it is not enough just to make proclamations. It's easy to wave flags. It's easy to have a Yechia Melech, and it should have it. I confess I don't. But this is a relatively easy thing. And there was, since we are in Quebec, a number of years ago, there was a new law that the Quebec government passed He wanted to pass that any person who works for the government cannot wear any religious symbol or religious garment, etc. So there became a whole issue for many doctors, from doctors working in the hospitals, the government hospital, and they can't wear any yarmulkes anymore. And he said, look, they're not going to take off their yarmulkes, they will definitely wear the yarmulkes. Okay. So there was a whole issue. But it was a beautiful ad campaign which I brought to my attention in Toronto. And I think they nailed it very well. And there was a big ad, big billboards, since I'm in the billboard business. So it was brought to my attention, and they made a big billboard campaign. And there was from one of the medical schools in Toronto. And what they advertised, they said, we don't care what's on your head. We care what's in your head. In other words, we don't care of what you wear on your head. If you wear a yarmulke, you don't wear a yarmulke, on a havla, turban, whatever you are. We care of what's happening in your head. So, as the Rebbe says over here, that we have to say the achroz of Yechia Melech, and that's simple. The Rebbe says b'kol mamish. That means very simple. Just like Bathsheba, she said Yechia Melech David Loilam. That we simply have to say Yechia Melech. Now, Chassidim added Yechia Denenu Mereinu V'Rabbeinu Melech HaMashiach Loilam Boed, and we saw the Rebbe was encouraging it for a year and a half. We saw how the Rebbe is encouraging with the greatest Mesiras Nefesh, with greatest efforts. In fact, by this Kinnis HaShluchim might be worthwhile to mention, and it's a video of it, and we saw it. That that was when the Nun Gimel, excuse me, not by the Sikh, the following year, Nun Gimel, but the Rebbe, the banquet which was in 770, and the Rebbe came out on the balcony to the Kinnis, and the Rebbe came out. They started singing all kinds of nigunim. They sang the Nigna for Shredesh Kislev. They sang, I think, Shluchei Adonenu from 770. We're going marching out, and the Rebbe did not react. It's a beferische video, not just a WhatsApp. It's a beferische video that is there that everybody can see. We were there. Many of us over here were there. I'm sure we all remember. All those who were there remember it. And then they started singing Yechi on the Rebbe Tangi Machen. That literally every single person that was there had sich gehoben. I'll say every single one. Maybe there was one single or two that didn't hear well. They probably had difficulties of hearing and they couldn't see well, so they didn't see what the Rebbe was doing. But there was, without exception, it was so clear that the Rebbe is dafke by listening. All the others, the Rebbe did not react. And though the Rebbe gemacht with such force, and we know from the Maskirim and from those people who were involved, that movements for the Rebbe was then very painful, very difficult. It wasn't easy for the Rebbe to move with his head. It wasn't easy for the Rebbe to move with his body and move his hand. It was all pashut. The gash was very difficult. And the Rebbe was like, he got everyone on fire. So the Rebbe certainly encouraged it. But this is one thing, but there's no question about it. Those words of Yechia Melech says the Rebbe very clearly. But as we go back to what we said, what the Rebbe said in this Yud Aleph Nisan, that is Yechia Melech, in other words, that we make this commitment, we recognize, we accepting the Melech as Melech and as a chitas of today, with the Rabbi Rashi Zog, Koydem Makabli Malchusa B'Gzeroisai, right? In Rashi, I think the chitas of today. Zog Rashi, what is Malchusa and B'Gzeroisai? And there's a sikha from the Rebbe, why does it have to be divided? Why is it Malchusa B'Gzeroisai goes together, right? Malchus, if we get become the Melech, we're going to accept B'Gzeroisai. So the Rebbe says in the sikha that what? Malchus could be that we accept Malchus, these things that make sense to us. We're accepting your kingdom, your rule, these things that make sense. Gezeroisai means even those things that we don't understand. And those are Rashi, the first did separate, as did Rebbe Masber and Rashi, in Pshute Shel Mikra, that we mekabel not just those things that we understand, we will mekabel Gezeroisai, those things that we don't understand. Sagt the Rebbe that we have to push it, übergeben sich im Ganzen zum Rebbe, to make the total commitment, even if we don't understand it, and even sometimes it might be a little bit unpleasant. So the Rebbe many a time spoke that the first thing Shulchan Aruch starts with Al Yevash Mipyam Aligin Olav, not to be embarrassed, not to be afraid. And there's a cute little story that the Rebbe was sitting in the sukkah, I think it was before the Nesius, the Rebbe was sitting in the sukkah before davening, and gegessen mit Zeynis. Somebody came over to the Rebbe, say, public, always those who, Yoyatzim, allemal gewend, die some got access to geben. Da gab es einmal gerade gesagt, auf Yoyatzim, auf der Schmulleisig Vorpack. Aber sie können auch Yoyatzim, then couldn't get access to them. And told the Rebbe, you know, you want to eat fine, but nicht bei the public. So the Rebbe said, ich schäm sich nicht mit Alabavitsch Minhik. So we should not be embarrassed, Chas v'sholem, the Shem sich, it was the Rebbe Haste und Stone. I feel it, Thomas, sein Efshe Imitz, but versteht nicht what it means. So it should be said, and we should all be machis and all commit ourselves. The Kabbalah for Masiach Tzidkenu means what? Pasha to internalize, to live mit the Rebbe. To live as the Prakim Tanya Netz is my base, my Gimel is Alts Mamish and Shaykh to the Minion, was gesagt, I'm a base that the Rebbe is there. Bin Hashem Nitzavala. I'm a base that the Rebbe is there. And he looks at us. And we know with no uncertain doubt that the Rebbe is there and the Rebbe answered. And I want to conclude, maybe, I've been concluding already 10 times, but maybe I want to conclude with the beautiful story that I heard no later than 2 weeks ago. There's a fellow in Vilselara, and he's Skarab Gavon. By the way, he used to be a Galach for many years. And a serious guy. It's a beautiful story. It's a serious guy. It took him 10 years to go through the Geras. And he told us the story 2 weeks ago, Erev Yudalef Nis. And to detail that at one point, he felt he's still not inside. He's still an outsider. He felt that but somehow he had this feeling that he's not in. He dreamed that he's in a huge, vast place. Thousands of people, and the whole thing is a golden building. Und in mitten sitzt der Rebbe, und der Rebbe verbrennt. Verstanden hat nicht, but he heard the Rebbe is verbrennt, and he said those words were different than what he's used to hear on the videos. And then suddenly, the Rebbe points to him to come over. And the Rebbe came, he calls, all this in his dream. And the Rebbe calls him over, and the Rebbe tells him, in English, he said, the Rebbe told him, you have a place here. You have a place here. And then the Rebbe pointed to someone standing there to give him a yarmulke. To give him a yarmulke. And he gave him a yarmulke. A week or 2 weeks later, he's in front of Renault Depot, and a guy comes over to him and tells him, you look Jewish. Definitely looks with a board, with a yarmulke. Definitely looks Jewish. And he says, I found this here in the mud, wet. And this looks like, I know this looks like a Jewish kippah, a Jewish thing that the Jews wear on your head. So I see you're Jewish. I don't want it to be left in the garbage, in the dirt. Here is one. Please take it. He looks at the yarmulke, and this is identical to the yarmulke that he saw in his home. What's for a yarmulke he does? A yechi yarmulke. Guy told me the story last 2 weeks ago. Some of you know even who this is. You might have seen him before. So, but again, it's not about just wearing the yechi yarmulke. That's easy, especially if you want to cover it with the yarmulke. We can cover it with the hat. Nobody will see. Okay. But the idea is Kabbalah is Masiach and Pashat. Leben mit dem Rebbe, leben mit was der Rebbe ist. And as the Rebbe says that everything we do has to be chodur, darf sein durchgenommen mit der Inyan Masiach, mit geht legen mit Hayden Tfilin, darf man nicht sagen, sich heim mit dem, wo der legst Tfilin, wärst du, nennt auf Mekabel sein Pnei Masiach zu kennen. Du ziehst Schabes Licht, mit dem bringst du rein euer Masiach, wärst du nennt, mit dem bist du Mekabel. Jede Sache, was man tut, darf man wissen, dass das ist, Pashat, wie der Rebbe sagt, darf sein durchgenommen mit dem Metzies, mit der Peula, mit des Galus, von Melech HaMashiach, Yechi HaMelech, Yechi HaDeneinu Mereinu V'Rabbeinu Melech HaMashiach, Le'elam Boed.
Chaim, Shkoya, das ist der meiste Peil, was da von Toni ist.
Sagt der Rebbe, mit abgeben wir Farsen sein, Novi Yesh Bedoyer, mit auf Bekarim sein, doch jeden, mit noch a Mitzvah, und sagen ihm, die alle Mitzvahs, das ist alt, of the day the Kabbalah sein Pnei Moshiach Tzidkenu. It's very simple.
So I tell Rollers Chassidish, I tell them, I say, a guy came over to me and he tells me, "What's with Labavich? I got to Mashiach, Mashiach, Mashiach." So I tell the guy, I said, when the Davish Shemon asks you 3 times a day, what do you think about? Every time Shemon asks you, think about the Babich.
You know what? You can ask him next time. Ask him how many times. I once did this in the seminar without even realizing what I was saying. I gave him an assignment to find out that in Shachas of the middle of the week, how many times in Shachas is there clearly or a reference to Mashiach? I gave it as an assignment to the girls in the seminar many years ago. You know the number they came up with? Over 400 times.
In Shachris?
Yeah. Over 400 times reference. Not clearly the word Mashiach. Some places it's the God, Chaim Mason, God is called. But bus is Pashit. Passing by passing by passing by passing. They did the homework and it came up with over 400 times.
Well, this expression is gosh.
Wait.
Sure. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention something. Forgot to mention, I'm sorry. The Kesher Leksavis, Kashus, and Kabbalah Samaltus. There is a big effort going on now. There is a website called United for the Rebbe, in one word. UnitedForTheRebbe.com. Go on the website. We started before you Dalef Nissen. But Adain Lo Yeshonu, da weiter Mamshach sein, dass die Drinne von Kabbalah Samalchus in Peil Mamish with Achlotas Teves. And there's also, by the way, the beautiful list of Rabbanim that endorse and that encourage it. And there is more Rabbanim that is on the list that so far the more Rabbanim were added, but should not get added onto the list. And as somebody said it, something very nice. It says, Yechi, Shmulik, the best of you don't like it. Yechi, you can read it from right to left and from left to right. So this list is from right to left and from left to right.
Yeah.
UnitedForTheRebbe.com in one word. Please do it. Encourage others to do it. And I should have mentioned it earlier, but
lately, I've been in 770 almost like 2-3 times.
Right to left to left to right.
What?
Just made it lefties. So no, it's right to left.
I'm being gefallen, der in Bahn sagt das.
In 770 many times.
No.
Every time, many of the times, especially for the shot, they were dancing and chulu. And you, of course, you'd feel jealous. These guys are all into it.